Greetings, this is Belinda with Bible Talks with Belinda. This is part 2 on the Bible teaching of Judges 19, crimes in Gibeah. And I am teaching on the Levite and the gruesome crime done against his concubine. So I left off and I was on verse 20. If you have not watched part 1, I highly recommend you watch part 1 because it is a good foundation for you to understand and a good breakdown of 1 through 19 and really give you a good understanding and a foundation for this chapter. So I left off at verse 19. Verse 20. And the old man said, "Peace be with thee. However, let all thy wants lie upon me. Only lodge not in the street." So this was an old man. Once again, I said, I discussed how he was from the Mount side of the Mount of Ephraim, which was a city of refuge. This let me know, it doesn't say here that he was a Levite, but because he was from the side of the Mount of Ephraim, this was a portion of land that was given to the Levites as a city of refuge. So therefore, he was a Levite. And also there was another part here saying that he sojourned in Gibeon, but the men there were Benjaminites. So he was just a sojourner there. He was from the Mount Ephraim. He sojourned there, but he was staying in the city of Benjaminites. And I wonder, why he was even in Gibeon, because it's a possibility that there was a lot of chaos going on in Ephraim. If you read the book of Judges, a lot of idolatry going on there. And even if you read the story of Micah and how the idol that was the silver graven image, and the wars and the everything that went on. And I wonder how, my mind just kind of wonders sometimes how he even got there as a Levite, living amongst the Benjaminites. And it's just really interesting because that's not his, I would think you would want to be amongst other Levites in your land that was given to you, so that as the Lord wanted you to be. So was he fleeing from somewhere? Was he was it so bad in Ephraim at the time that a lot of people left and went other places? It just seems kind of more, that there's a reason, why he's there, um why would he be living amongst the Benjaminites instead of the Levites? All right. Verse 21, so he brought him into his house and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink. All right, so he fed his donkeys, which he said he would do. Very hospitable. Gave them food and drink. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about and beat at the door and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. Now I'm gonna spend a little time on this here. So as they were eating and drinking and being merry, the men of the city, it says certain sons of Belial. Now when I looked up Belial in the Strong's Concordance dictionary, it says that these were worthless men. The meaning of it means worthless, evil, wicked men. All right. And it says certain sons of Belial beset the house round about. Now, when you parallel this with Lot, several things I want to point out. In Lot, reason why I believe Sodom and Gomorrah was ultimately just destroyed is, for one, when the angels came, if you notice, they came and it was during the day. It wasn't at night. So a lot of wickedness was just happening all times of day, all times of night, right? It was just round the clock, just evil, wicked Sodom, just downright bad. And even I think in Judges, it says in one part that it was just as bad as Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Here you have this says certain sons of Belial. In Sodom and Gomorrah, it talks about all the men of the city, not just certain men. So in Lot's story, all the men of the city were just downright sodomites, every single last one of them. Now here it says certain sons of Belial. So this were a certain group of men. They were, like I said, Belial means worthless, perverted, wicked, evil. All right. That's what these that's what these that was the Hebrew meaning of Belial. So that beset the house round about, and beat on the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. Now it was two men that came, right? So it was the servant and it was the Levite. So interesting enough, they said, Bring forth the man that came into thy house. Now which man did they want? It wasn't clear. It just said, Bring forth the man. And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, Nay, my brethren. He called them his brethren, which is interesting because he's a Levite and they're a Benjaminite. And then they're sons of Belial. He's a Levite. So we have no, there should be no association whatsoever. Get away, you wicked men. Nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly. See that this man is coming to my house. Do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter a mating, and his concubine. Now here you have a contrast here. His daughter is a virgin, and then here you have a concubine. Here's your choice. Or you can have them both. You got, I can give you a virgin and I can give you a concubine. Then I will bring out now and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you, both until this man do not so a vile thing. So it was more acceptable for them to dishonor a virgin than to sodomize a man. It's all so wicked. It's all so very wicked. But the men would not hearken to him. They would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine. This is the Levite. Once again, just the men in this woman's life failing her. And I think it started with the father, to how she even ended up in this situation. Just, bad raising, and then just having bad male leadership going up, and then, getting with this guy, and then, committing adultery, and then just here she is, being thrown to the wolves. She made some bad decisions, and then he made bad decisions by leaving the house late. And now he's in this house with this old man, and now he's, to save his hide, you know, he throws her at these men and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her and abused her all night into the morning. And when the day had began to spring, they let her go. So several things I want to point on, and this is mostly speaking to women. One thing is that these men, if you notice, several things I want to discuss. For one, you notice that the man here says, only not lodge in the street. And you notice that a lot of people, in Gibeon at the time, when they were sitting out in the street. A lot of people would not, they were sitting in the street, and no one, like I said, in another translation, it said they were sitting in the city square, and no man would take them into their house for lodging. And one of the things, I think it's twofold to this. The people of Gibby, may have not, been fond of, foreigners, for one, and two, they may have not wanted these people to harass them and come to their house and put them at risk of such a just, a bad situation, because apparently there was some indication that this was an issue in the city, because the old man said, don't lodge in the street. Apparently, he knew something bad would happen to these people if they had stayed in the street. And so people were probably afraid to even bring these people into their home, because they knew that, hey, there's a group of men that are raping people. And we don't want these people to come into our house and open us up and make us vulnerable for this type of problem here. We don't want to deal with this issue. That could have been the case, and they could not, and also they just could not just like foreigners as well, Levites. And maybe they just didn't like Levites. Who knows? All right. That's one thing. Two, these were sons of Belial, and I want to stay right here. And this is one of the areas that I want to deal, particularly with women. Sons of Belial. These were worthless men, worthless. And modern day, these are the type of guys that they sleep all day, right? So they sleep all day. They play video games all day, and during the night they may come out and they may um, do petty crime, ravage, steal, get what they can to support their daytime habits, maybe live in their mom's basement or something like that, or do some couch surfing, or maybe, hoboing on their girl, here and there, living with women here and there, but, living off of women. But they're pretty much worthless, right? And they come out at night to do their evil deeds. And so these are the type of men, they come out. Notice how at night they came out. in the evening time after the sun has gone down, because this talks about, and so this talks about how the sun had actually went down on them. And it was after nighttime that these men had come out. And so these are when the sons of Belial. Notice when most of the most wicked crimes happen, um, it is at night. It is in the nighttime. So these are the sons of Belial that are committing these type of heinous crimes, in the most vile and wicked crimes. And so um being out in the center and making yourself a a spectacle, or making yourself a target. Notice how they were sitting out in the street, being a target, right? So they were being they were targeted, right? They were tracked. They were targeted, they were tracked, and they were found. So these men tracked them down to their location. So always be aware, and I'm talking to women right now, making yourself visible, being out very late by yourself, being in a vulnerable state. Be always aware of where you are, who you're around, your surroundings. Make sure that you are not being followed. Make sure that you are not being tracked. Always be very aware of your surroundings, and be aware of who you are in a relationship with. Are they wicked? Do they have some type of worthlessness to them? Do they have some kind of value to them? Are they reaching some type of goals? Because eventually they're going to resort to something that is just wicked and low down, because that is the falling nature of man, right? So we can get a lot out of the Bible here. I can just stay right here, because there's so much wisdom here, right here. Not making yourself to be a target, not making yourself an easy target, you know, not making yourself easily trackable and easy noticeable to be taken advantage of, you know. So uh, I just wanted to kind of stay right there, and not being out late at night and being unscrupulous in the streets, running the streets. I'm the type of person, I'm older now, I don't be, even when I was younger, I make it a point to be in the house, by 10 something, because it's just so much. I notice, like, after 10 o'clock, um, people are starting to swerve in the lanes. They probably go out for evening drinks, and I notice people start swerving in the lanes. People just look different. After 11, 12 o'clock at night, they have a different gaze, a different look in their eyes, especially, if I'm traveling single. Like, I am just so alert. If I turn down the street, I make sure nobody is turned down the street. If somebody turns down the street after me, I keep driving until I lose them. I don't care how far I have to drive. All right? Because people are out to do wicked things. All right. I just wanted to stay right there for a second, because I want to show you all something. It's a lot of wisdom in here. All right. So 24. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them. Look, he's telling them, hey, humble them. Bring them, hey, have your way. These worthless, evil, wicked men. Gosh, disgusting. And do with them what seeming good unto you, but unto this man do not so vile of a thing. But the man would not hearken to him, so the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her. They had sex with her. So notice, they knew her, they had sex with her, and abused her all the night until the morning. So they abused her. So to me, this means they not only had sex with her, I believe also they probably prodded her with other things, in, different parts, because they were sodomites, and sodomites have to, um, nor, and I hate to be so graphic about this, but you have to understand, how evil and wicked, some of these, things are. So sodomy, a sodomite, just normal, sex is not satisfying enough. It usually has to be, for these type, it says sons of Belial, evil, wicked men. It more than likely had to be something that was just, sadistic, very, just, just something probably just where torturous. That's that's the best, description that I could use, where they were probably doing all kind of things, and I wouldn't even doubt if, possibly even, you know um maybe some animal stuff going on there. All right, and abused her all night until the morning, and when the day began to spring, they let her go. So notice the time frame. Most evil occurs, and this is what the Holy Spirit gave me too, the nighttime. So after the sun went down, the nighttime is when they came out. Evening break, because I kept the day break kept circling in my mind. That is the time frame when the evening break. Notice they didn't let it go until all morning, because that is the time where the wickedness, the most wickedness occurs, right? So daybreak comes, it's like they go back into their cave, and then they, do whatever, and then they come back out at nighttime. These are the wicked people, you know. All right. So day began to spring, they let her go. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day. She fell at the door of the man's house where her Lord was till it was light. So it was the dawning of the day. This is where all the evil starts to wind down. And notice how most of the crimes occur, at 1, 2, 3, 4, around 5, when the sunlight is coming up. 5, very rarely do you see crimes occurring at 6:30, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's very weird that you see, but most of the crimes that occur, they're between around, starting around 10:30ish, 10, 9, maybe 9:45 till around 4:45ish, 5 o'clock in the morning. That's the window time that evil is really it's really getting, it's starting up around at 9:30 time. It's at a height around 12 o'clock, 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock is at a height. Then it starts to wind down. Daybreak, it breaks off. All right. So just keep that in mind, because that's very important. All right. So that's another thing that I got. The Holy Spirit revealed to me, in this passage. All right. Then the woman came in the dawning of day and fell at the door of the man's house where her Lord was till it was night. And her Lord rose up in the morning. This man was asleep. The man was asleep. How? See, and this is another a point I want to make. When a woman puts herself into being, these days, these type of women are called, side chicks. They settle for being a second, um pretty much a second wife. Sometimes the wife, the main, the official wife knows about it. They know about the affairs. They know that the husband does have this woman. She may have a kid, she may not have a kid. This side chick has called this wife, so she's made herself known to the wife. And so it's just pathetic. It's pathetic. um but and it's the man really does not have a lot of the point I'm getting to is that, he tells this woman he loves her, the side chick, that woman, my wife, she's this, she's that, but I love you, and this, and this right here, this is such a profound biblical lesson, because this man threw the concubine out to not just regular men. Now, these were sodomite men, knowing that this woman could not please these men, and they would do whatever it was that they had to do to get their rocks off. So it was some wild stuff that went down, right? And he was asleep. This joker went to sleep on her. He went to sleep, and her Lord, the Bible calls the man her Lord, because legally she took him, she allowed him to become her master, right? And her Lord rose up in the morning. He was asleep while all that was going on, and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. This joker, he was getting ready to go home, or he was going to go to Shiloh, because the Bible says that he was on his way to the house of the Lord. So he was going to get ready to go worship the Lord, and probably go home to his wife, or maybe go and find him another concubine, because that's what they do. Okay, I'm getting off on a tangent. But he was asleep. He was about to leave. He was like, well, hey, yeah, she probably didn't make it, you know yeah, but he threw her out to the wolves, and he went to sleep. And behold, that woman had been abused all night long, walked through the city in shambles, toe down, just to make it back to her husband. I mean, just barely, probably with the last few breaths in her body. And for her to reach and slam against it, she fell down at the door. Um, nobody, even not even the old man, he didn't stay up looking out for her, or nobody. And that's why I say, this lesson is a lesson on, all the failed men in her life as well, because nobody looked out for her, nobody was looking for her, nobody went to go look for her. Even after this man threw his concubine, the old man nor the servant, went to go look for her. Um, Everybody went to sleep. You know, he went. He got up the next day to go and to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was falling down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. She was trying to make her way in there. Maybe if he was awake, he could have got to her. Maybe if he would have, she probably just, barely tapped the door. He probably would have, if he was awake, he probably would have heard her and came to her and helped her. And he said to her, up, get up. I mean, you don't get no more cold and heartless. And this is a lesson to women who are, playing this type of role. I know a lot of people always say now, well, there were, a lot of men in the Bible had concubines, had other wives, and everything like that. But no, in no situation in the Bible did that ever work out to be good. Abraham had, you know, uh, Israel and Ishmaelite, in the Ishmaelites. You have the Israelites and the Ishmaelites. And so the Ishmaelites are a thorn in the side of the Israelites to this day, right? Because that was done outside of the will of God. That was not the will of God for him to have a concubine, Hagar. That was not the will of God. All right. So you had Jacob, right? Jacob had all of these handmaid, these concubines having different babies by them. And even though the tribe of Judah came out of that, they were always at odds with each other. It was always, some stuff going on in that. Then you had gosh, well, you had Solomon. Solomon always had issues, and it turned his heart away from God. So you had all these, it's so many different examples. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but anytime that, a man took more wives than he was supposed to, it never ended up in a good situation, because that was never the original order of God, right? It was never the original order. It was just, to be man and woman at coming together as one. All right. And so here's another situation here. He said unto her, verse 28, up and let us be going. But none answered. She didn't answer. Then the man took her upon an ass, and the man rose up and gat him until his place. So he didn't even, mourn her. He didn't when he saw her, he didn't, gasp and, anything. He just told her, like you know, a thrown away whore, get up, let's go. What you sitting down here for? What you out here for? Get up, let's go. And that's just the cold hardness of it all. It's just awful. And when he had come into his house, he took a knife, it's just, and a and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her together with her bones in 12 pieces, and sent her out into all coasts of Israel. And it was so that all that saw it said there was no such deed done nor seen from that day. The children of Israel came up out the land of Egypt until this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. All right. So, after all this, he took a knife and he divided her together with her bones, 12 pieces. So he cut her up in pieces, and then he scattered her across Israel. Um, and all that saw it. So he didn't even bury her. He did not give her a proper burial, um, a respectful burial. That her parents, her father, that could come and, have a respectable burial for her, a mourning, a grieving for her, to cut somebody up. If you notice in, movies, or if you ever seen like a murder like thing or whatever, it's a gruesome type of situation that happens to cut and dismember somebody. So to do something to dismember somebody with a knife, to tear into human ligaments and bones, like that took a lot of manpower. It took a lot of willpower. It took a lot of strength to do that, and to do that to quote unquote someone you love. I think at that point, there was no love left. Once he threw her out, to the to the to the to the men, And then even when I sit here and think now, you know, he waited 4 months to even go and get her, you know. It's not like he went after her right away to go and get her, but after she had committed adultery, and she went away to her father's house, she was there for 4 whole months. So, you know, was it something that he needed from her? You know, I did read somewhere where it was customary to take a um a concubine if your wife was not able to have a child. So maybe he just, he wanted a lineage, because it doesn't say in here that he had any kids, that he had a son. Nonetheless, it doesn't speak that of his, that he had a wife, but we do know he had a wife for him to have a concubine. But and it just says that he went after her to speak friendly into her. It doesn't say that he went to because he loved her, and that he wanted to he just wanted to be with her. So I think it was something else that he wanted her for, other than he loved her. That's a possibility. But after she had committed adultery and all that, I really think he hated her, to be honest. Um, you know, he did absolutely nothing to protect her. And then he just, threw her out to the wolves, and then he talked, and he just, you know, seen her laying on the ground, and then he just told her to get up. She was just laying there like a den. He cut her up into pieces. So let this be a lesson learned, to always respect yourself. Always be someone who is respectful of how you carry yourself, and never come second best to anyone, and never let anyone even if you have had failed um upbringing in your life, because I can definitely see how her father failed her here. He made a lot of bad decisions, even in his highly royal um um priesthood. You think he would have done better than to raise his daughter to be a concubine, you know, and he would have done better, and I think that led to her. I'm not, giving her excuses as to um, why she, why she committed adultery, but I do think it played a part in her upbringing, her upbringing, and just being probably with the type of guy that she chose to be with, and just settling for being a concubine. All right, so that is all I think I have. I'm gonna give me about 5 seconds, because I think that is it. I'm just gonna look over this real quick. I think that's all I had to share today. Oh, one last thing. I know here that the woman is well, the guy, the Levite, he's nameless too, but at least he has some type of title. He has some type of prestigious title. You don't know, he is nameless here, but he's identified as a certain Levite. He has some type of title, and he's known. I think, when you go to chapter 20, I mean, there is a purpose and a reason for this, because it ends up bringing, we know in the end, the Lord uses everything for his good, and the whole purpose, this was a gruesome thing that happened, but as you go into chapter 20, God used this to bring the children of Israel together to fight a battle of war and to once again bring them out of bondage. Because once again, if you go back to my first my part one, I set the foundation and talk about how Judges goes into the history of the idolatry, and how God raises up judges to bring them in and out of to bring them out of bondage after they get into bondage. So this is a this is a, even though, like I said, it's very gruesome, but um one of the reasons why he may have done such a um done this in such a gruesome way, and just scatter her body from in each part of Israel, is to you know the shock and the awe of it all, place a foot here, a hand here. And then as he went, he told the story about what the Benjaminites did, and how they had to come together and probably fight against them, and to this evil thing that had happened, and they had to come together and fight. So the Lord used that as, even though it was bad, it was awful, but he used that as to kind of um for his purpose, right? So this is an unnamed, like I said, the Levite is unnamed, but he, at least he has some kind of prestigious title. But the concubine, she there's her title. This is another thing. This is another point that I wanted to make. She's just known as a concubine. Her whole life here is summed up as a concubine. It is never her name is never mentioned. She's not known for um anything except for being an adulterer, and being used up as a whore, being abused, and being killed. All right. So when women put themselves in this type of role, you know um that is how they are remembered, right? So if a woman makes herself to be a side chick, and I have been amazed, I have been so amazed. I have watched documentaries, I have listened, heard women say that they have been side chicks for 20, 30, even 40 years, and I could not in my life even comprehend any of that. It was just so amazing to me, right? And so imagine dying like that. So the only thing that a woman like that is known for is being Ronnie's, side chick, you know. And usually lately, if you are being aware, spiritually aware, a lot of women now are being murdered, right? A lot of women are being murdered because they recently banned Roe versus Wade. Abortion is now illegal in a lot of these states. So guess what? A lot of women are ending up pregnant, and a lot of women that are ending up pregnant, I've noticed in the news lately. I'm like, wow, how are all these women? Why are all these women that are pregnant ending up getting killed? I'm like, this is terrible. These men are killing these women that are pregnant. This is terrible, you know? And then when I sit back and I think about it, I'm thinking of Roe versus Wade. The increase of murders with of pregnant women coincides with the end of Roe versus Wade. The women cannot get abortions so easily, right? Or now, because of the abolishment of Roe versus Wade, more women are maybe having second thoughts. Well, maybe abortion wasn't right. Maybe having an abortion wasn't the right thing to do. So if I ever get pregnant again, even if I can just drive over the state lines, I'm not going to do that. So now I'm seeing a lot more women are being being killed now, and they're pregnant, which is such horrific. So, some of these women are women who are mistresses, you know, which is just tragic. Um, and so, this was getting back to this teaching here. This lady was only this concubine. She was known for being a concubine. She was known for being an adulterer. So a concubine was a legal mistress, right? A concubine. She was known for being a legal. She was known for being a mistress. She was known for being an adulterer. She was known for being just used and abused in any type of sexual way. She was murdered, and she was dismembered, and she was basically dishonored. She was dishonored in so many ways. Her family could not properly bury her, you know. So you don't want people coming to your funeral and saying, "Oh, Sarah, she just never, she had kids, had these kids." Uh, you know, Ronnie is the father, but Ronnie never left his wife. Mm, I just, so many lessons here to be learned. So many lessons to be learned here. But nonetheless, I'm gonna end the story. I'm gonna end this teaching here, and just leave it here. So I pray that you all got something from this. Once again, if you haven't listened to part one, go back and listen to part one. It sets the foundation for this teaching. So I hope you all have a blessed. It's nighttime here, so have a blessed day, evening time, wherever you are. And if you have not already accepted the gift of salvation, do so. It is the best gift given to mankind. So be blessed.